Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Global AI Notes. Today we're going to discuss a bit more about how we as developers can become more productive. So as every week we have a guest, and today our guest is Jim Bennett. Hi Jim, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I was just bopping along to the music. I do like that intro music. Kind of gets you going first thing in the morning. It's great. How are you doing today, Sammy?
I'm doing well. Great to be back here on the show also, being able to host it and having you. That's great. Looking forward to learn more about what you are doing, because you've been working for Microsoft, but now you're not working for Microsoft anymore, but still doing a bit the same thing, if I'm correct.
Yeah. I spent 5.5 years doing developer advocacy at Microsoft, and then realized that these large companies are great, but they're big and they're slow, and I could do with something a bit smaller and faster. So zipped to one startup, and then now I'm working for a startup called Pieces, which is your long-term memory for your entire developer workflow. A very cool AI startup. Been there since end of May. Having an absolute blast.
Okay, cool. Now, if we look at the title, Revolutionize Developer Productivity, the first thing I think of is, okay, this is going to be a GitHub Copilot session. Are we going to talk about this, Jim?
No, we are not. No. Yeah, I know it's kind of got to the point where everyone thinks GitHub Copilot is the AI tool, but honestly, there are a huge range of AI tools out there that help you boost your developer productivity. Copilot is great, and especially for things like autocomplete. You're typing something out and Copilot will say, yes, I can finish off the function for you. But there's a lot of things Copilot doesn't do, which is why there's apps like Pieces, the company I work for, that's been there to kind of really help your productivity across a lot more than just the current file that I'm working in.
Okay. Then I would say just show us around, Jim. What does Pieces do? How can it assist us?
Yeah, so Pieces, what I think of it as long-term memory for your entire developer workflow. So the idea is, as an engineer, you're exposed to a whole range of different contexts. It's not just the file you're working on in your IDE. You may have a whole project of code. You may have code snippets that you saved over time. And then you have the research you're doing in your browser, and you have the discussions that you're having with your colleagues, whether they're in like Teams, Slack, GChat, or whether they're in Jira, GitHub issues, things like that. So it's got this whole lot of context. And I think we all suffer. You probably suffer this as well. We all suffer from this idea that there's just too much context for us. There's too much information. There's too many things going on. And so if we want to have a tool that's going to help us be more productive, we need a tool that can look across all that context, that looks across absolutely everything we do, and then allows us as engineers to get reasoning across all that, to get guidance across all that information without being overwhelmed by just the sheer quantity of stuff that you have to deal with. Because I guess, you've probably seen this all the time, yeah? You're writing code, you've got a massive project, and you get lost zipping around the project to different files, and then someone asks you a question about it, and there's like, I have no idea where in the code base I can answer this question, and then someone says, oh, we need to do this. You go, yes, I've done this before. I saved a code snippet somewhere to do this, and I don't know where I put this code snippet. Things like that. There's all this information that kind of piles in, and so Pieces is designed to be there to help you with all of that. So unlike GitHub Copilot, which is all about auto-completing your code, we're about conversing with an AI that understands everything that you do. So shall I do a quick demo? Should we do it?
Yeah. Where's your screen?
Yep, my screen is shared. So there we go.
There it is.
Cool. So rather than just have a tool that's in your IDE at any one time, what we do with Pieces is we kind of have a tool that follows you across everywhere that you go. So we kind of run in the background. We have this thing, call it Pieces OS, that sits in your background and just provides you access to the LLM of your choice. And then you can interact with that through extensions that are in VS Code, in whatever JetBrains IDE of choice you've got, in your browser, in collaboration tools, in tools like Raycast, in NeoVim, Sublime, kind of wherever you are, you've got this Pieces Copilot with you. So kind of a quick demo might be, I'm new to a project. We've all done this. We are new to a piece of code, and we want to understand that piece of code. We've got this whole project. We want to actually understand that. So what I can do, I'm inside Visual Studio Code, got a Python app open. I can do right-click Pieces, ask Copilot, and then I could do, what could I do? Describe this Python Flask app. And what it's doing is it's taking my entire project and it's building up that description for me. So I'm brand new to this project, never seen it before, and I've suddenly got in my LLM this description, in my Copilot conversation. I've got a description. And I can start diving in deeper. So I can say, for example, how is the home page rendered? And because it's got the context of my entire project, it's given me an answer to how it's rendered. So, chugging along a little bit slowly. There we go. The LLM's running a bit slowly at the moment. The fun of live demos when OpenAI slows down. But essentially what it's given me here is it's allowed me to get the answer to the questions that I'm asking. So here's a description of it. It's a Flask application. It's got some database stuff using SQLite. We've got HTML templates. I asked how the homepage is rendered. It's got things like it's from the base root. We've got some logic there that builds up image file names. We use a template. It's this base HTML. It points in the direction of the relevant code because it's got this understanding. And you'll see I've got this thing here, view relevant files. So one thing Pieces does is it looks across the context that you give it, and we've got this proprietary relevancy engine that we run. so that it takes all the context you're providing and says, what of this context is relevant, and uses that to run an LLM query. So kind of a little bit of under the hood stuff here. You know how AIs have these context window limits? You know, you can only send a certain amount. The problem you have when you have like a large project like this, these massive multi-million line projects, you cannot send that entire project to an LLM. It's just not physically possible. You can't say, here's my million line of code program, describe this. Yeah, that will just blow the context windows. It's OpenAI, 128,000 tokens. Yeah, not going to happen. So Pieces has got these built-in smarts with our relevancy engine that will work out what is the code that you need to answer the question. So we're kind of trying to keep that context window as small as possible so that we don't.
So it's some kind of a RAG that you built in the back end.
Yes, yeah, basically a smart RAG that understands code, so that we can just pick the relevant files or pieces of files and send that to kind of answer the questions that you want. So yeah, this is kind of just the very basic, yep, I want to see how to do something. You know, I want to have a look at a project that I'm working on. You know, maybe I need to do some of the nav bar, so I can ask guys now, how is the nav bar rendered? And again, it will look at what are the relevant files that I need to do this, pull out the right information, and then spit out the answers that I want. So as like a new developer, you know, rather than being just overwhelmed by this entire massive project that I've got this ability to just start diving into it, to start getting an understanding. So yeah, it just doesn't get too overwhelming.
So let's say I have a work item I need to work on. I can ask now, where in the file should I update, or where in the file should I start writing this code?
Yep. In fact, that's kind of almost as if I'd set you up for that question, which I didn't, by the way. But that is actually lines me up perfectly for the next thing I want to show you. So as well as you providing context and things like files or folders, we also have this thing that we call live context. So this is a tool that's designed to run on your work machine, where we capture what the activities you are doing in your foreground windows. So we're kind of like the Jarvis of Iron Man that's kind of sitting there watching, trying to have an awareness of the developer work that you're doing, so you can then use that as context. So for example, I'm here in a GitHub issue. It's saying sci-fi store is not yet ready to open, so we need a sign-up form that needs a name, phone number, and email. And then that should post to subscribe user. And then this should have this look and feel. And here's some text that it should have. So, you know, I'm here, I'm reading this ticket. Now, how can I implement this ticket in my project? You know, how can I take what I'm reading here? And obviously this is a bit of a contrived example, so it's quite short, but it could be a very long, detailed GitHub issue. And how do I take the code I've got and use that to guide me in what I want to do? So I can go back to my same conversation, go turn on this thing called live context, and that tells Pieces to use the information that's kind of been picking up and understanding of the activities I'm doing. And then I can say, how can I implement the create a sign up page GitHub issue I was just reading about in my browser in this Python Flask app. And then give it a few seconds. It's checking a bit slowly. What it's doing is using the context of the entire project and the context of the conversation that was happening in that GitHub issue to help guide me with what I need to do. It's got all that information together. So it's telling me I need to update my navigation bar. Okay, so I need a sign up page in there, /sign up. It already understands my navigation bar. In fact, if I look at that in my base HTML template, it's already got it here for the home page, about, and stock. So it's given the right recommendation for this, needs to go in there. I need a sign up form template. It knows that I need to extend base HTML. It's given me the right format. It's picked up some of the styles that I've got. It's only a sign up form. It knows I need name, phone, and email. It picked that up from the GitHub issue that I had. So it's given me all that on my form. It now knows that it's a Flask app. I need a route for this. So it's given me a route. This route's got the post, so it can pick up the information there. And then it's got the get as well. So it's built up everything that I need. And then it's saying, oh, yeah, the ticket just said caps this information, but you probably want to store it. Again, because it understands the entire context. It understands that I've got a SQLite database in place. So what it's given me here is some suggestions around, hey, maybe you should create this schema in the database. Maybe you should add this function in the code that you've got that interacts with database. And then when you do that, you can then add the code inside your sign up route to do this. So suddenly, rather than just having access to the code file that I'm in or the project I'm in, it's got access to the ticket that I'm reading as well.
So there's a connector then for GitHub, for example, to read out those tickets? Or it's because you're saying, I saw it in my browser, does it see what you're seeing?
It sees what you're seeing, yes. So the idea we have here is we call it the workstream pattern engine. It's kind of this little gizmo that sits in the background. And what it does is it captures the text from the foreground windows that you are working on. Now, this is very much designed to be run on your developer machine. You know, this is not the kind of thing I will put on my 11-year-old's gaming laptop. This is designed to be run on your developer machine. It's got a whole lot of smarts in there around API keys, private information, doesn't capture any of those. Everything that it finds, it processes locally. So everything stays on device. Nothing leaves your machine until you ask a question about this. So we kind of built this with privacy and security in mind. It's only the active windows because we want to kind of follow the activities you're doing. You can turn it off. You know, if you're a manager and you spend half your day writing code and half your day in meetings, you can turn it off when you're in meetings. You know, you kind of got that privacy built in, but it will capture everything that you do. And then we will run the query and all the data we've captured through the relevancy engine. And then we only surface up to the LLM what we think is relevant for the question that you're asking. So everything's processed locally. It's all kind of private, all on device. So that means, yes, as I'm reading this GitHub issue here, I can ask questions about it. Okay. Or for example, if I zip over to my StreamYard window, for those who don't know, we're streaming this through StreamYard. If I have my StreamYard window up, I could then maybe ask a question about that, for example. I could go here, I could say, what did Rosie say in the StreamYard conversation I was just reading in my browser? And there we go.
Okay.
No.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So built with security and privacy in mind. The only thing that would leave my machine is what we think is relevant to the conversation. So we filter out API keys, private information, stuff like that. And what's really cool as well is I can choose different LLMs depending on my needs. So for example, if this was something that I really did not want to leave my machine at all, I could spin up a new chat, and in my new chat, I could actually change to an on-device model. So for example, I could go to, let's say, Microsoft Phi. Oh, don't have those downloaded. What do I got downloaded? Llama's a good one usually. Yes, I have that downloaded. So I could flip to Llama, for example, and then I could ask exactly the same question. Let's stop that, and let's actually turn live context. Oh, it is on, cool. But I can ask the same question, and nothing's now leaving my machine. I could literally turn, sorry, I stopped that because I didn't turn on live context. There we go. Now nothing's going to leave my machine. I would say I could turn my Wi-Fi off to demo this, but then I'll just obviously drop out of the live stream. But now this is running a bit slowly.
But this is the LLM running on your local machine now.
Because this is running the local machine.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually picked up. Okay, so it didn't pick up all the information through the local LLM. So it's kind of you get different experiences with different LLMs. So this one didn't quite process that properly. But let me just.
Well, we all know that one LLM works differently compared to another one. So
Yes. And that's kind of one advantage of pieces as well, is we have access to, I think it's like 22 LLMs, some on device. Yeah, for some reason, Llama does not like answering that question. But yes, some on device, some on up in the cloud. And kind of we provide full access to all those different LLMs. So for example, if I just bring up this list again, cloud, we've got a whole of OpenAI ones. If you really want to go back to GPT 3.5, you can, but we've got 4 Turbo, 4.0, 4.0 Mini. We would love to bring the new one, that's at 4i or whatever it's called, but at the moment there are limits on there. So as soon as you make that available, we would blow our limits. So as soon as we've got access to that fully, we will be making GPT-4S, I think it is, available.
The real-time one, you mean? The real-time audio?
Not the real-time audio. We're just doing things with text at the moment. But there's the new 4S has kind of got the much faster, much better version.
Okay.
But yeah, we have call limits on that. So it's one of those. If we turned it on, we'd go through our call limits in about one person in a few minutes. So when that gets fully open, we're going to bring that on board. We have the Gemini models on here. These are great because they have very large context windows, so we can kind of send more information up to the cloud. We've got the Claude models. Some folks like those. Palm 2 still at the moment, though I believe these have been deprecated because no one is working on those. And then on device, we have Mistral, we have the Phi models from Microsoft, we have Llama from Meta, we've got some Gemma from Google, and then Granite from IBM. So you're going to got great.
The smaller models, obvious, because the big ones will be hard to run on your local computer.
Yes, yeah. So like Llama, we've got the 8 billion. We don't have the 450 billion parameter one or whatever it is because you don't have 80 gigabytes of RAM kicking about or whatever it is that you need. So
no, exactly.
But these small ones are usually pretty good. They seem to have enough information, and they are completely private. It's just fully air gapped. So I choose Llama, I turn my Wi-Fi off, and I carry on working. I've done this on planes before. I make sure I've got my LLMs downloaded before I jump on a plane, and then it doesn't matter how terrible the Wi-Fi is. I have still got this ability to interact with the LLM, ask the same kind of questions. Yes, it's a bit slower because my laptop is nowhere near as powerful as an entire rack of NVIDIA GPUs, but it's good enough. It's good enough for what I need. It's not terrible in terms of performance. I've got an M3 Mac, but generally on anything like Apple Silicon or anything with a good NPU, the performance is acceptable for an on-device LLM. The only limitation really is the amount of RAM that you have.
Okay. Now, what I'm wondering is, let's say you have a Teams meeting or a Slack meeting or whatever tool you're using. Am I able to use that context of a conversation between two developers also?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Let me, in fact, I don't think I want to bring up I'm just trying to think what is a good example. Let me bring up, let's actually do a live demo and try this out. I'm just going to bring up Discord. The pieces Discord. Just give me a second. Let's get that up. And let's actually do something like that already. So I'm in the pieces Discord. Let's look at the introductions channel. A few people have joined. Someone just Steve King. I'm guessing not Stephen King, the author. That's why they're just Steve King. Okay. So this is kind of like the same conversation as people chatting about things. So let me go to, I'm going to the Pieces desktop app. So what's great about Pieces, where we have so many different connections in different places, we have an extension in the browser, we have an extension in VS Code, we have the desktop app. We'll go here, start a Copilot chat, new chat. Let's use OpenAI for this one. Do that one, turn on live context, and Tell me about Just Steve King. Now, this is one of those interesting ones where prompt engineering becomes kind of part of what we have to do. So, yeah, tell me about Just Steve King. The LLM doesn't know about Just Steve King, and I haven't really given it that right guidance to what I want, to where this information might come from. So it's kind of one of those tricks with any LLM is you've got to do a little bit of prompt engineering. So I could say, just summarize the conversation with Just Steve King that was just happening in Discord. So you've given it a bit more of an information there, and it's still not liking it. LLMs, new chat, live context on. Okay. So for some reason, it's not actually picking that up from. So it worked with StreamYard.
It will only look at the text it sees. It's not going to work on an audio conversation that you have during a meeting.
No, it's just
okay.
text. Just text. I'm going to try this one more time. Let's just try a different model, just in case it's just new chat, live context. Describe the chat in Discord with for some reason we're not capturing. Discord is not being captured, but yeah, like the StreamYard chat is being captured.
It does, yeah.
That is interesting.
And it's not like you can block off certain applications?
Not at the moment. We are building that out. Yeah, some folks want certain applications or certain websites allow listed and deny listed. So that is a feature we are working on at the moment. But no, that's not set up. Was discussing in StreamYard. Okay, so we've picked up the StreamYard conversation. So sorry, Richard, for picking on you a little bit. But yeah, so it's got the comments from StreamYard. They complimented presenter, likely Jim Bennett. No, the live coding god strikes again. There we go. That's very nice. But yes, so it's definitely working StreamYard. I don't know why it's not working in Discord. That is interesting. That is interesting. Here we go. We are capturing bugs live on stream.
Exactly.
So,
I know what you can tell your team to work on today.
Yes. Drop everything. Make it work for Discord. But yeah, it definitely works for GChat, Teams, Slack. I guess something about Discord it's not liking it. So
okay. I think that is pretty cool how it captures everything and you can make use of it. So if you share pieces of code in Discord with each other or on Teams, then you can actually make use of it immediately in Visual Studio Code also, because it knows the context of that code.
Yes. So I can have a project open and I could say, message you just about this, say, oh, I need some help with this. Can you give me something? You can say, yeah, check this out. And then I can just go back into VS Code, describe the chat I was having with Sammy, drop the code in. Now, interesting you say about capturing bits of code. One thing Pieces does very well is we have this ability to save code snippets. So, for example, you know what, let's just go back into, I'm in my browser now. I'm going to bring up the Copilot chat in my browser, because that's one of the cool features about Pieces is it's there wherever you are. And I'm going to go back to the original conversation we were having about how to implement the sign-up form. So here's the conversation that we had about the sign-up form. It's saying, for example, where are we? Here's a sign-up form template. This is what I need. So if I wanted to say, add this into my GitHub ticket, I can, because I've got the Copilot here inside my browser. So if I was doing the research in the IDE and maybe to help a junior developer, I could then take the conversation I've got here and drop it straight into my browser. I don't have to kind of keep flipping between the two places. I've kind of got that conversation in multiple places. Or it could be that, you know what, I've got the information I need. I'm not going to implement this today. Maybe it's 5 p.m. on Friday. I want to go home. So what I could do, I can maybe save this to pieces. And what this will do is this will then save this block of code into pieces and then augment this with AI. So it becomes a very helpful saved code snippet. In fact, I'll just zip the desktop app because it's slightly big on screen. This is the code that I've just saved a moment ago via the web extension. And what we've got the code. We understand that it is HTML, and it's given a load of extra information to it. It's brought up some queries that you might search for, websites with relevant information, various different tags. So we tag everything. There's various annotations, and we might do things like attach people to it. So if I was capturing this from a GitHub repo, we might attach the people who've worked on this code before. And then I can go through and I can, oh, wrong button. I can edit these annotations if I want to. I can add people. I can add anchors. It's picked me up there as the creator, but I could have more people. If there was any sensitive information in this, like an API key, it would highlight this, or I could mark something as sensitive so that AI gets better at dealing with it. So I've kind of got this saved. So when I come back to code later, I can either dig through my chat and find where in the chat I got this code snippet, or I could just access it straight away from here. And then from this code snippet, I can just drop this straight into my code base, or I could start a new chat based off this, or I could share this with someone else. So for example, if I just generate a link to this, I could then share this code. So same as you were saying, if we're having a conversation in the chat about how to do something in Teams or whatever, you've got a piece of code to do this. You could actually then say, find that piece of code in pieces and then share a link with me. So I'll get a nice link out of this. You may share this link with me, for example. I drop this in the browser. And here we go. Here is that code. And as part of the code, it's even got the whole Copilot chat that drove that code. So as part of the annotation, here's the chat I had, and then here's the actual piece of code. So very, very cool feature. In fact, it's so cool, it's made Sammy just drop off the call. So awesome. So yeah, so this is kind of a really cool way that you can kind of keep that code, you can save that code. So this idea that we have this context of everything. We have this ability to remember the code snippets that you do, have your different Copilot chats, and weave them into everything that you do. Wherever you are, you've kind of got your Copilot with you, or you've got your saved code with you. And you don't have to worry that as you context switch between different places that you're going to lose everything that you're working on.
I'm so sorry. I was gone for a second, and funny enough, I'm sitting here in the dark right now because I got a blackout.
You're in Kenya, aren't you?
Yeah. Yes. And although I have a battery pack, the battery now also went off, so that's less good.
Oh, yes. One of the downsides to a lot of parts of Africa at the moment, isn't there? Is the various rolling blackouts. So
exactly.
Yeah,
but we're still here.
You're still there. Cool. Yeah, just been showing off the code snippet saving. So which is great, because if you suddenly get a blackout and your computer dies, then you've at least saved the code snippet that you've got. So when you finally get electricity back, you can find your code snippet and carry on.
Exactly. Well, I think, Jim, this was quite an interesting session. I think one more question that a lot of people might ask themselves is, what does this cost to make use of this tooling?
That's a great question. How does free grab you?
Hey, do you know what they say about free, Jim?
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not one of those things that's free because you are the product. So at the moment we are free because we're VC funded. So we're trying to get as many people to sign up as possible. We will be bringing in pricing at some point. So we have on our GitHub, so github.com/ I'll drop a link. We'll drop a link to this in the chat. We actually have a discussion going about pricing at the moment. We want to be kind of transparent because at some point we want to actually start charging for pieces.
Okay.
We're kind of looking around that standard developer tooling kind of price, the $9 to $15 a month kind of thing. And then if you're a large enterprise, then a tailored payment program based off your needs, as we've built out a lot more enterprise level features. So if you can just drop that in the private chat, if you can drop that in the comments. But the idea is we want to be transparent about pricing. We like getting paid. I don't know if you know, but I like Lego. Lego costs money, so I need to get paid.
It costs too much, sadly enough.
So yeah, we've kind of got this open discussion about what we think pricing should look like. So the moment completely free access to all the LLMs, all the features. But yeah, over time we will start introducing pricing. Probably some kind of free tier potentially with limits. Definitely going to be looking at some good deals for students as well. Good. It's a very, very powerful tool for students. And then, we're working a whole load of great training to go with it that teaches people how to be successful with AI, and it helps you with things like prompt engineering, how to ask the right questions, things like that. So check out the discussion on Discord, and then put in your thoughts. We have to be honest.
I've shared the links on the chat. And just as Jim say, just share your thoughts. I see someone already saying, I petition for free tiers. Well, let them know. So a free tier can stay, even if it has already some basics. It would be great for even for students, for example.
Yes.
Cool, Jim. Thank you very much for showing this new tool. Looking forward to hear more about it, and that more people can start making use of it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining another episode of Global AI Notes. We're looking forward to see you next week again. Bye-bye.
Bye.